Good evening, everybody. This is Mongolia's first English entertainment talk show named Inspired by Zaya. Honestly, for me, I didn't study English abroad, but through my really poor English, I just want to proudly introduce Mongolian really educated, intellectual, and multifaceted young representatives. That is why today I'm inviting this really special guy who's the Finance Minister, Mr. Bodor. Thanks for coming. Hi, Mr. Bodor. Nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So don't be so serious, okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, how serious person are you?
Not too serious, I guess. Well, can be both ways, but most of the times not too serious.
Right, okay. Anyway, how did you learn English?
I went, after I graduated from high school here, I went to United States for 1 year, studied there for 1 year, and then moved to Belgium and graduated from an English-speaking school there, an university, European university in Belgium, so quite an extensive.
Right. Okay, so tell me about yourself. You know, from your childhood, which kind of high schools and universities and institutes did you graduate?
Well, I was born in Arhangay province.
Right. Oh, we're the same provinces.
We are?
Yes.
Okay, it's very good to hear.
Okay.
So I was born in Arhangay province,
Right.
but I grew up in Ulaanbaatar city. I went to, first I went to a Russian school. It used to be called school number 23. Maybe you
Oh,
know
I
that.
also graduated
You
school
did?
number 23.
Okay, so
oh, yes.
It's, then I moved to a Russian school number 3, I think from the 8th grade.
Right.
8th grade on, 2 years there. And then after finishing here in Ulaanbaatar, I went to Seattle, Washington to study English.
Wow, great.
That was back in 1993. So that was more than 20 years ago now. And after that, I was accepted to a university in US, which was a Seattle Pacific University in Seattle.
Right.
But I decided to move to Europe to explore more opportunities. So I went to Belgium, where I studied in a US Department of Defense Dependent School, which is based in Brussels.
Wow, really?
And for 1 year there, and went to a university, European university. So that's basically how my education goes. But my childhood is just like normal childhood for anybody in those days, in socialist or communist years, mid 80s in the city of Ulaanbaatar.
Right. Okay. So in this picture, how old were you? I just chose this photo because it looks so funny. You know, you were crying at the photo. Okay, so tell me about the details, right?
Yes, well, obviously I don't remember the picture, of course, but I should be somewhere around one and a half, maybe. The picture was taken in Arhangay province. I don't have too many pictures of me very young,
Right.
because in those days it was difficult to have. Well, families didn't have cameras, so it was not easy to have many photographs. But this is, as I said, I don't remember really why I'm crying here. Yeah, but it's a funny picture. There's another one of me with exact same clothing, but not crying. So,
Right.
yeah, but you chose the one with the one where I'm crying.
Okay, I just want to emphasize one thing is that you're the third generation minister, right?
Yes, yes, but I think that's basically, I think what I always tell people, that it just happened that way. It's not something that you get from your parents, or it's not something that you know, like king's son becomes a king, or it doesn't go like that.
But you're the only person.
I don't know. I don't know really. I might be, but I cannot confirm that. The thing is that
I'm confirming you.
you are okay.
Yeah,
You did
because
the
I'm a
research.
journalist, right?
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about your dad mom and also grandfather.
Yes, well, my grandfather was a
Minister?
typical, let's say, a socialist or communist person, let's say,
Right.
per se, maybe. He was, always preaching stuff, about Lenin and all the old stuff when we were growing up. So he was quite an old-fashioned person. He was working at, I don't really know the name of the ministry in English, but it had to do with the trading industry. So he worked there for more than 20 years, I think, and so he was more of a, let's say, an old-fashioned kind of person. But he was always preaching his kids or his grandkids of how to be. You should be very honest, or the honesty was the main thing that he was preaching us most of the times. And my grandmother, of course, I was raised mostly by my grandparents.
Oh,
So
really?
I was living with them most of the times and going back to Arhangai when I was a little. So I spent most of the times with them. So I get a lot of things from my grandparents. And my father was more of a easygoing kind of person. He was reading a lot. He read a lot. But that's something that he told me to do all the time. When I was little, that was quite annoying. But to think back. He was more of an easygoing. He liked sports, and that's how I became a very big sports fanatic. And we used to be playing with him all the time, hockey, football, and soccer, and all these sports games, and even wrestling at some point. So, and of course, he was a very smart person. He was a very bright person.
Definitely.
In high school and in university, he was always a straight A student. So he had a nickname. His classmates nicknamed him Paul, which is a professor or something.
Really?
So he was much more smarter than I am, I guess. But he preached something. He left something behind. That was that he always used to tell me that, Boller, you should be able to speak to anybody about any subject. You don't have to be an expert in anything, but you should be able to speak about anything, anytime, anywhere, with anybody. So that's something that he used to always tell us, the kids. And that's something that I always remember, and I try to tell that to my children. And my mother is a music teacher. She's a piano teacher, so she's a musician. It's very basic, and she's also a very easygoing person. Also, I mean, just like most of the musicians, I guess. Most of the musicians.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really love your family background. Do you think yourself an elite person?
I really don't.
Why?
No. Why? Well, I don't think there's such a thing as being elite. Or people always say, "Okay, I was born elite," or "I was raised that way." But we were not. We were raised in socialist times, and in those times it was different. When I was born, my father was a mechanic, and my mother was a teacher. So it's just the basic way of life in those days. Everybody would feel that there was no such thing as being elite or something. It's happening now, I guess, with all the changes that's been here for the last 26 years. But really, it's something that's not even talked about in Western societies anymore. Being an elite or whatever. It's something people are self-made now.
Okay. But one question is how your family background impacts your current career.
I don't know really. I think because see, my grandfather, my father, and myself, we were all ministers, but 20 years apart. So my grandfather was in 60s. My father was early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm 20 something years later. So that's so this is not something that you pass on or and political backgrounds are totally different with my father, my grandfather, and myself. my grandfather, for example, he graduated from university, and when he was in 50s and 60s, there were not too many people who were graduating universities in Russia or in other countries. So he was one of those persons who got qualified and went there. As for my father, he was the leader ever since he was in school. So every time, because he was a mechanical engineer or his first profession, and then afterwards, after he turned 30, he went again to school to study economics. Then he came back and worked at the ministries, various ministries actually, and then he was appointed as a Minister of Trade and Industry in 1990. And for myself also the circumstances are different because it's much more political now. It's much more political now. And my father doesn't appoint that. He's not a politician. He's not even interested in politics.
Really?
Yes. So it's really not impacting too much. And again, as you mentioned in the beginning of our interview, as you said, okay, my English is self-made. So I think nowadays most of the people are self-made. What you can do is that this society now, or the democracy, enables a person to succeed. And there's an equal chance for everybody, I think.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. By the way, what is your major study?
Economics.
Economics, right. When did you appoint this Minister of Finance?
I was appointed as the Minister of Finance last September. So it has not been long.
How the minister's work is going?
Well, it's not easy. It's
definitely.
it's one of the busiest, I think, ministries because everything goes through the Ministry of Finance. Right. Everything. So that's something that, and most of the other ministries, they all go through the Ministry of Finance, and they all hate me. So, but the economy is not good. The economy is not good in recent years. So we have to be very smart about it. We have to be very right about it, and we have to make the changes. Very bravely. So this is something that is important. Even though as the elections are coming this year, we have to think that the economy has to go right, and we have to do it, and we have to do it now.
Yeah, people are so disappointed and feeling so stressful about the debt of Mongolia, right? For example, me, Zaya, that was one of the citizens of Mongolia, I got almost around 16 million Tugriks debt. How can we solve all of these issues? Economical crisis.
Okay.
Since I'm meeting this finance minister, I have to ask this question.
Okay, no problem. But you know the economy. I don't want to get into the details. But,
right. Okay.
But it's really not about somebody having a 16 million Tugriks worth of debt. Because you know the market economy, the true meaning of market economy is to raise money. This is how it goes. Okay. This is how it goes. But the main thing is that what you do with the money. If you look around and if you go to different countries, I think the centralized economy like we used to have before, it only works in North Korea now. And all the other countries are going through this market economy. And this is where we raise money. When we have a certain problems in the economy, we raise money. We raise money, but we have to be able to circulate or use the money in the right way. The debt is not considered, when you issue bonds, it does not consider to be a debt. But unless you are not being able to pay, then it becomes a problem. But that's not a problem at the moment in Mongolia, because we have economy. We have what we say the mining-based economy. This is the biggest problem for us.
Yes,
we have to diversify the economy now to tourism or agriculture or all the other areas, and this is something that we need to do. And once we do that, a country with 3 million people, me personally as an economist, I don't feel that we are in so much trouble. There is always a possibility to fix it, and the budget discipline needs to be right, because it has been wrong in the last, let's say, 9-10 years. It has to be changed, and somebody has to be very brave about it. This is something that needs to be done. But most of the politicians are always afraid of doing that, especially when the elections are coming. But again, as I was appointed as a minister in September, and when we introduced the budget bill in October, it was a very brave and right bill. I think most of the economists or the IMF or World Bank, they were actually saying that, okay, Mongolia now on the right path as to the budget. But again, when we go into the parliament, parliament members, they're different.
Yes.
Well, I'm also a parliament member,
Yes,
but I'm one
you
of the
are.
different ones. Yeah, I'd like to think of myself as being more of on the economy side than the political side, because everything is being politicized, and that makes our economy, or that makes us our growth go much slower, because these populist politicians are killing the economy. I should really say that.
Killing.
They are killing the economy because they say things that might general public like, but general public now are starting to understand that that's
Yes.
not something.
Yes, that's true.
That's not the way we move forward. So I think there's a very bright and big future for Mongolia, but we have to do
Are
it
you
right.
sure about that?
I'm very sure. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Inspired by Zaya English Entertainment Talk Show. Our talk show is reaching to you from showroom of Ich Mongol Complex. Today I'm meeting with this really special guy, you know. I just want to emphasize on this photo. What's wrong with the teeth?
Well, I always had very ugly teeth, so it's I don't know what's wrong with that. It's just natural. It's what I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. How old were you?
I think I was about 21 years old. This is when I was graduating university. And, yes, we took a lot of pictures, and yeah, somebody didn't tell me to hide the teeth, so I was just smiling away.
You know Mr. Crystal? Can I call him Crystal?
No problem. Yeah.
You know what? When I heard your education background and when I heard about your universities and institutes, you're a really educated guy. Why did you decide to involve in this really, dirty political sector?
Well, what happens is that, as I graduated from university, I worked at Nick Petroleum Company for 3 years.
Oh, really?
So that was a big experience, because Nick at that time was a state-owned company,
Okay.
but a very big one.
Right.
Nick was, it took about 86% of the whole petroleum business share in Mongolia, at that time, of course. So it was a big experience for me. Then after that, I went to private business for about 6 or 7 years, which was quite successful. And during that span, it was a tourism company, tour operating company.
Right.
And we received yearly about 5,000 to 6,000 tourists. That was a very big number in those
Yes,
days,
big number,
big
right.
number. So it was quite successful. But politically, I was quite active in the beginning of 2001, and then when we started moving on. It's not something that when I was little, or when I was a student, for example, I would never say, okay, I will be a politician or I will be a minister. I was always thinking, okay, I'll just have a nice business and try to
Really?
yeah. So, but it comes with let's say, in those days, there are a lot of things that needed to be changed, and we could not move from our old mentality of the socialist years to move into the new mentality, and they needed to have a fresh blood. They still need that.
Yes,
the
that's
politicians, including myself, I guess. But again, I'm saying I'm one of the different ones. I think
How
to think.
different person are you?
Well, even when we're speaking in the parliament, I wouldn't say, okay, which political party is right or which is wrong. I wouldn't want to say that.
Yes.
That's not something that's not right, I guess. But there are people in the parliament who realize and understand how we should move forward. And how these private businesses need to be supported, and that how this true market economy should move on, and how we should take an advantage of being a neighbor to two big markets. All these things, some people are understanding that. Some people are just using some of the economic downfalls, or all these things to their advantage, so that they gain some popularity. And this is not something that I like, for let's say. So it is, we need to change that.
Yeah.
So in those days, in the beginning of 2001, 2, 3, 4, in those days I was doing private business quite successfully, but I was always involved in a party life. And in 2008, from 2006 and 2008, I was working as a project coordinator in a Dutch project from
really?
Holland.
Okay.
That was the best time for me, because it was a very easy job. It was a very
How
high
can you
salary.
say easy?
It was an easy job. It was an easy job. We had a staff of only 4 people, and big salary, and all the projects were going very nicely. And in 2008, when the government had a coalition government, I got an offer from Mr. Aslan Hoyek. He was a deputy prime minister back then, in 2008.
Yes.
So he offered me a job to become a vice foreign minister in 2008.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah, I remember the time, right?
Yes.
You were the vice minister.
Yes. So in 2008, so okay, if you get an offer like that, it's you take it. So,
Yeah.
So I worked there, and that's already big politics. So you're in, you were in, and you have a chance to really move, or you really put your ideas together, and to how to improve some of the things. It doesn't always work, but it works sometimes. You take some and you lose some, but again, there is a chance to be involved, and this is something for people, a lot of educated people, much more educated people than myself, I guess, are trying to get into politics, but they're doing it wrong, or they're doing it in a different way, because they see the society. And Mongolia is, I think, the only country that is taking way too long to transition from socialism to...
Yes. Okay, let's change the topic a little bit.
Of course.
Our conversation is becoming so official, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Are you
know.
asking the questions, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I don't know a lot about politics or politician, So, Mr. Crystal, who are you as a man?
Well, it's a very difficult question. A human being, I guess. A nice human being, I guess. I try to be nice. I try to be... I don't get angry too much. It's
Really?
not something... Yes,
You look so angry on the TV.
Really?
Yeah, so serious and
Well, they ask me serious questions, so I probably need to answer that in a more serious way. But again, it's you need to be calm, I guess, when you're working, when you're doing such a job.
Yes, sure.
So it's something, and honesty really something that's my grandfather was always saying that, okay, you have to be an honest and right person. You have to do the things right, and then everything falls in place.
Okay, one thing I'm just really proud of you is you're still young. You're not 40, right?
Not yet.
Not yet, but you got 5 kids, right?
I am, yes.
Yes, tell me about the kids and your wife and, how did you meet, guys?
Okay, meeting, of course, that's just probably like all the others, I guess. It's we met through a friend who we attended a birthday, and she was there as a common friend. So I didn't know her back then. Somehow we met again a few days later. I think also at another I think we were playing snooker or something. I don't remember that really well. But from time to time I was giving a call, and she was not paying too much attention, I think, back then. But I was quite consistent, went after her for a few months, just like all the others, I think. We met, we went to movies, and we went to the comedies, and all these things. We were very young back then. So, and then the kids started to come, just like any family. I have 2 sons and 3 daughters.
Wow, really great.
The one on the picture here is my second son. We had a daughter just 1 month ago.
All right,
So,
congratulations
thank
anyway.
you.
Okay, what does she do?
She's by profession. She's a Japanese teacher of Japanese language.
Wow.
But as I moved into politics, of course, when I move into politics, my private company doesn't stop working. So as I moved into politics, somebody had to take care of the private business.
Right.
So she's mostly involved in our private business. It's not a very big business, but it keeps us very happy. Yeah.
As you're a young person, I just want to ask one question. Is it better to marry at an early age, or is it better to wait a while?
It depends, I think.
Depends on what?
Personally, well, it depends. I think nowadays we have, with the gender equality and all these things, I think more and more girls or women want to explore all kinds of possibilities before having kids. But it depends where are your priorities. So we decided that our priorities are kids, our family life. So we decided, okay, we have more kids. We have. It doesn't really interfere with our jobs. I mean, yes. I mean, I get to see them much less than I used to, but still, when the kids are not there, it's very difficult for us. It's like, okay, when we get into the apartment and nobody is around and the kids are not yelling or fighting or all these things, but so it doesn't really impact us too much. And I think for me, it was good that I got married early. I don't know where would I be at this moment if it wasn't for my wife and my kids. So that's. But there are other people who have different priorities. And it all depends on personalities, I think.
Right, great. Yeah, you're not 40 yet, right? So,
Not yet.
but some people say real life begins at 40. What do you think about it?
Well, I'm not 40 yet, so I don't know really. I would probably know when I'm 40.
But when you first heard about this word, heard this word, what do you think about it? Real life begins at 40. Most of the young people say it.
You know, when I first heard that, I thought it was ridiculous.
Really?
The movie, the Russian movie, the Moscow Doesn't Believe in Tears.
Yes.
Moscow Слеза не верит.
Yeah.
That movie is, it preaches that the life begins at 40. And in those days, when I watched the movie when I was little, I would always say, okay, they're crazy. 40 is so old. And when I remember when I was little, and when I remember my father, for example, okay, and when we wrestle or when we play hockey, we used to play hockey a lot, and I would say, you're an old man. But now when I think back, he was younger than me now, so I was thinking, okay. So well, when we turn 40, I think when you turn 40, you become much more, let's say, not mature. I want to say calm. I think you realize most of the things, and you are much more experienced, I guess, in all the areas, everything in life, in politics or in business or all. And it's a good thing, I think. For me, when I was appointed as a vice minister, I was 30. And then back then I always thought, okay, I'm old enough. But when I look back, I was making a lot of decisions that I would never make now. So,
Really?
so that's
Yeah. Wow,
that's the
sounds
difference.
perfect.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
difference. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Minister, actually this talk show dedicates for young people who would like to be successful in the future, you know. And the main reason that this talk show goes in English is really important because, you know, not only English and any other foreign language opens a lot of door for the young people in their career. So could you please give some advices to our viewers? What is the main importance of foreign language, especially English?
Well, foreign languages, of course, and in this now, yeah, in this
Yeah.
society or in this day and age, or what we have now, we're living in an era when you cannot go around without knowing foreign languages. It's something that's very important. You
Yeah.
go outside of the country. You just need to know English now. I think
Yes.
it's a universal language now. You know, you go to France, you speak English. You go to Germany, you speak English. You go
Yes.
to Botswana, you speak English. You go to
Yes.
Zimbabwe, you speak English. Even you go to Korea or you go to Japan, you speak English. So
Yes, that's true.
so this is something. But the knowledge of English of our younger generation in Mongolia is now very good, surprisingly
Yes, I also
good.
think
Yes.
so. Right.
And that's something that I'm very proud of, actually, when I see young kids speaking very good English. And I think Mongolians have a very big talent for languages.
Yes.
It's something that's given, and that's something that Mongolians are very famous for. I think everybody is seeing some Japanese or Koreans trying to learn English, and when you see Mongolian learning English, it's different. It comes very easy. But foreign languages, again, you should have goals in life.
that's
The young kids now, I say to my kids, to my oldest son, who's 16 now, then I tell him you should have goals. And it's easy to achieve those goals.
Yes.
When you're persistent and when you do the things right. So it comes and you'll be able to do that. Advice, even a career advice, there's no such thing as bad profession.
Yes,
There's
that's
no
true.
such thing. Everybody can be successful in this market economy or democracy that we're having here. There's always a possibility for that. So just be persistent. Just have goals. Learn languages. I think nowadays one language is not enough. So,
Yes.
so you
For
should-
example, for you, how many languages do you speak?
Well, on a fluent basis, I can speak Russian and English. Russian because I went to Russian school, and English, and French, of course. I was fluent in French, but again, when you're not speaking a lot, you tend to lose
Yes,
that.
that's true.
So French, I cannot say now that I can speak fluent French, but I understand everything in French. And so even with that, I think I had a chance to, when I was a student, I had a chance to learn German, but I never did. So,
Okay, great. Our talk show has a special part, which is to throw Mongolian traditional bombs.
okay.
Okay, even though we're speaking in English, we are still Mongolians, right?
Of course we are.
Okay, let me see your spirit as a young person. If you throw horse and sheep, you mean you're lucky, right? Camel and goat deemed a little bit unlucky. Okay, let me see your spirit.
Camel and goat. So I
You're
should.
left-handed, right?
Yes, I'm left-handed.
Oh, really? Okay, let me see your spirit. Good luck anyway.
Okay.
3 sheep and 1 goat. Yeah, you're kind of good.
That's okay then.
Yeah, because since you have a 3 sheep, that's
Okay.
good. Okay, at the end of the talk show, please describe yourself in 3 words.
In 3 words.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For example, me, open, sometimes crazy, and working girl, maybe. For you.
Calm.
Calm, right?
Yes. So funny.
Funny?
Funny. Could go on. Right? What else? Honest.
Honest, right, great, really. Okay, Mr. Crystal, it was really nice to talk to you, and thank you for accepting my invitation, and I wish you every success in your life and work in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Okay,
Very nice
very welcome.
discussion. Thank you.
I also wish you lots of joy and happiness
Thank you.
in the future. Okay, thank
For
you.
you too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
It was the Mongolia's first English entertainment talk show named Inspired by Zaya. I always really proud of our Mongolian, really educated, intellectual and successful young people. So nothing compares to a beautiful conversation with beautiful minds. See you next week, guys.